back on The Cusp, our podcast. I've got my co-host Matt Snyder here with me, but today we're really lucky because we've got Rich Lamb. And Rich, you know, you and I go a long way. When we started EAP, one of our first customers that walked in with a one-page business plan, okay, we turned that around and you helped us get them launched.
Yeah, it was exciting. I appreciate the work EAP's doing and helping some of our nascent companies get going and turn into job creators and revenue generators right here in Shreveport.
One thing that you got to know about Rich is Rich likes winners. You know, I'll never forget one of my first times hanging out with Rich. We were at the Independence Bowl, and my 7-year-old son was trying to learn, you know, was watching the game. And Rich said, "Renner, it doesn't matter. We're cheering for whoever's leading." Yeah. And they just bounced back and forth. Yeah. Rich likes winners, so that's why it's important to have Rich on the podcast.
But Rich, you're unique in our community because you're heavily involved in a lot of things. You're doing legal work for a lot of startups that we have in the portfolio. You were instrumental in the sawmill in plain dealing, and it is not uncommon for you to shoot a group of people like myself on a regular basis. Hey, here's a resume of somebody that is from Shreveport trying to get back to Shreveport. And then we all jump in and we try to find a fit for that person.
That email's turned into something special. It's probably my favorite thing to do. And what used to be just resumes is now turning into job openings. Job openings like CFO position, controller position. These are real white-collar jobs that come with salaries and benefits, and it shows the progress our community's made in the past 10 years. And as more and more people my age and even younger start to move back. In fact, I just learned last week my younger brother and his family are moving back here from Dallas.
That's awesome.
And he's going to be making more money here than in Dallas.
That is good.
We're excited about that, and there are plenty of opportunities. And I'm just one person, and like you said, I am an attorney, but there's ways to get engaged, and you don't have to be a fabulously wealthy person or a fabulously influential person like you might have to be in a much larger city.
Right, which is something we tell a lot of people, and we just had Ryan Culp from our Shreveport Next, and he's out there recruiting businesses all the time. You see a lot of businesses that are looking at Shreveport. What do you see? What do we have to offer?
So there are a lot of things. One, people want to be somewhere that's centrally located. As the supply chains face more challenges, our interstate system, and that'll only get better with the intercity connector, our rail system, which people really don't understand what a big deal that is, especially with the trucking issues. And I encourage everyone to look at a map of our rail infrastructure and where it could go in North America. Our inland port.
Yes.
You know, the ability to put something on a barge.
What they have done at the port does not get enough positive
People do not understand it.
Do not understand.
And they're influential outside the port. You know, I raised $120 million to the sawmill and plain dealing, and the port was instrumental in that, even though it was not physically located at the port.
Their ability to do things like that, people don't realize. And we're doing something in Bossier City that we'll be announcing real soon that without the port we wouldn't have been able to do.
And then, you know, there are a number of other things. The ability to, I work downtown, and I'm downtown almost 7 days a week. I work, go to church downtown, and socialize downtown. I can get there in 10 minutes from my home, which is in a residential neighborhood. It's not near downtown, and that's a big deal. I'm able to drop my kids off and make it downtown in 10, 15 minutes.
All right, so those are the good things. So when you're working on these deals with different businesses and you're helping them structure their business that they're opening or moving here, what are the things that make it difficult in Shreveport? What are the deals where you get stuck on and you get hung on and are like, if we could do this, it'd be better?
Well, you know, there are a couple of things. One, workforce development is a challenge anywhere right now. And so identifying those potential employees, something that's been made a lot easier by BIPSI or the Digital Media Institute, which frankly I didn't know a lot about till recently. I have a client that has moved here from LA, and he was ecstatic to find out about what John Morales is doing there. And I consider myself relatively informed, but there are certain things even over here in this medical corridor I didn't fully know about, which is exciting. Most of the challenges I see are due to state policy. And that's high insurance prices, that's high state income taxes relative to our neighbors. It's a litigation environment. Personally, I rarely see issues at the local level. I have not faced those
I would
hurdles or
say
those problems.
absolutely.
And I work on deals in Austin, Texas. Right now, it takes over a year to get a real estate.
So the people
development
that sit
closed.
around and beat up Shreveport, that Shreveport's hard to open business, Shreveport blocks its own way. Rich Lamb, who's in the back room making these deals, says they're wrong.
Well, I say they're wrong with respect to the deals I'm working on.
Okay.
And so, if you deal with any city, I'm talking about cities, not towns, it's going to be a challenge. Cities that are growing have issues. Austin, Texas, like I said, it takes forever to get anything done. And, here, I really, the ability to pick up a phone and talk to someone is helpful. And the people that are in government, the people you're dealing with. And, unfortunately, the people that complain the most never seem to move.
Right.
Yeah.
You and I know that a lot.
And I
Is a
can't say I've missed
politician
them.
going to save us?
No, there is no election, there is no elected official that's going to change this situation drastically. The government can hurt things. I don't know they can necessarily help it. So it's going to be led by the private sector. So if you're waiting around for the perfect candidate, the perfect election results, you're never going to get anything done.
Right.
And I think that
Anymore.
applies
Yeah.
anywhere in the world.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
glad you said
100% with you. The government is not going to solve our problems.
It can
for us.
cause them, but it's not going to solve
There
them.
are
not
a
gonna
lot of
solve.
people that have tons of talent, tons of ability, tons of resources in our community that make the choice to sit around and talk about how bad things are here instead of getting out and, Rich, I want to be the first one to say, I see what you do and appreciate what you do, getting out on the ground to actually make things happen. And I hope I'm a guy like that too. So.
Yeah, it's, I've lived in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Washington, D.C. One of my favorite stories is someone that complained Shreveport didn't have Jazz Fest like New Orleans. And they ultimately moved there. And I go, hey, how was Jazz Fest this year? Well, I didn't go. Why? It's just too crowded and too expensive. And that kind of stuff drives me insane. I have an above average salary, and I can't afford to do everything there is to do in Shreveport. My wife and I and our family, if we want to do something every day and every night, we could absolutely do it every day
That's
and
right.
every night.
That's right, and I think that's getting better and better. And the more jobs and the more opportunity here, it's only going to help that.
It will.
Absolutely. And so, our festival sizes are perfect. You can get in, have a good time. If you want to leave, you can leave without a 3-hour, wait in line.
Well, I want to build that 3-hour line one day too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
But but
On the consumer side,
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
have a big music festival here. There's no doubt about that. I think that's the one area that other cities our size, you'd be hard pressed to find a city our size that doesn't have a real music festival. And I'm talking like $1 million music budget, $40 ticket music festival. I think we need that.
Well, I think it'd be fantastic. But the important thing is, everything we do here is always accessible.
Right.
This is a very
That's right.
accessible place. Like I said, the things I've been able to do, I'm 36. When I was even 28 and just a little bit older, I would never have had those opportunities anywhere else. And at the end of the day, I'm not working 100 hours a week like my peers in Dallas or Chicago or New York. I can afford our lifestyle. Just the pace of life, I can be as engaged as I want to be.
The quality of life in Shreveport
Absolutely.
for a professional with kids especially,
Oh, yeah.
I would put it up against anywhere in America.
Well, I'm a perfect example. I gave up the corner office in Washington, D.C. to have my girls go to school in North Louisiana, okay? And I'm pretty lucky because both of them went to college on I-20, okay?
Yeah.
So those kind of things, to me, those are valuable.
These guys
Absolutely.
that live out in South Shreveport and talk about how terrible Shreveport is, I drive out there, it doesn't seem very terrible out there.
No, and again, they can drive 2 miles and build a house outside of it if they care to.
Right.
Yep.
And frankly, that's the attitude I have towards that. I have no problem with people criticizing policy, but when you do nothing but criticize and propose no solutions,
That's right.
then
That's where I get hung up.
Yeah.
That's something I don't respect.
We can have that 10 minutes at the lunch table about what's wrong, but then I want to have 50 minutes after that on what are we all going to do to try to fix
That's
it.
right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And I think that's one of the key things we really need to do here is expand our network of the people that want to do positive things, that want to move forward. If you don't want to be part of that, okay, fine and great. Move on.
We've talked about
Okay?
it before. Shreveport has to stop beating each other up and has to realize that all these wins, no matter who's getting them, help us all.
And
Yeah.
a big important thing is, having knowledge of those wins. I think a lot of people expect every new exciting business to be a GM plant with a physical
Right.
facility or a brick and
Right.
mortar on Uri Drive.
Yeah.
A biotech company has no reason to have billboards or build a brick and mortar on Uri Drive. They're going to be in this medical corridor.
Yeah, Eric Rivito building those braces that we had on is the perfect example of that. What he's doing is awesome. Omicron.
Yep.
All those. But people don't know about that.
And that's what we're attracting. You know, we're attracting those kind of jobs that bring incredibly smart people to our community. And you're not going to see, you know, a billboard or blinking lights that say that. The types of companies we're attracting are for, you know, critical thinkers that are in a lab or in an office making great things happen all over the world from right here in Shreveport.
And hopefully, I think there's some projects coming through this building here at the BRF to get more of that out.
Definitely.
And I think it's going to be pretty successful, so I'm excited about that too. So
Absolutely.
anything you're hearing, make sure it's getting to our radar as well.
Absolutely. And then, you know, people want the information. I took to sending out personal emails reminding people, because, you know, I'm going to pick on someone. My grandfather, you told me not to get mad at anyone, but I'll go ahead and tell you.
Well, you get mad at your grandfather.
Yeah, so I
that's
told
it.
him, he goes, well, I didn't hear anything about it. Well, how would you hear about it? You know,
Yeah.
Are you out and about? Are you doing things? Are you engaged? And that goes for a number of people. They say, well, I haven't heard about this. It's, you know, sitting around the same 4 or 5 people is not how you do that.
Yeah.
And my grandfather is good about getting out. But there are some people that he's friends with that don't hear about things. And, you know,
They're always the ones to run out. You should advertise this. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
you just drove past a billboard. That's
right.
It was on.
Well, that's what got Matt and I started, because we really struggled with this podcast, okay? And that's why we made that rule. Hey, it's got to be positive. Because what we believe is, when we look at everything that we're working right now with all the economic development partners and guys like you, okay, we're on the cusp, okay? We're right there. If we could just keep rowing together in the same direction with the same objective, we're going to land that
Good
big
things
thing.
are happening, and there is a great group of Shreveporters that are all moving this direction. We just need to get more people in the boat going in that direction.
Absolutely.
Right. And you know, one of my favorite articles I have saved on my computer is the story of how Barksdale came to Shreveport, with John Ewing, who was the associate publisher of the Shreveport Times. And you look at what they did. It wasn't like Shreveport was New York and just sent a letter and it showed up. These were citizens that were engaged, private sector citizens, and worked together, made the trips to D.C., did the networking, did the receptions and the hospitality aspect, which is all part of it, and were able to work hard and beat out Houston, Montgomery, a number of other places that were much bigger and much wealthier, and bring the largest announcement in Shreveport's history right here to our region.
And look what it does today. The
Oh, it's
defense industry
unbelievable.
in this region
And we
is
have to
critical.
get back to doing that. We have
That's
to
right.
stop fighting each other. We have to stop bickering, and we have to know that you may not think that this one project is the best project ever, but it doesn't matter. Get on board, work together, and let's get more wins that'll support and help all of
Absolutely.
us.
Or at least get out of the way.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
When
yeah.
I'm with my small business owners that I do marketing for, like a John Pickens doesn't care how these executives get here and where they work. He just wants more of them here.
That's right.
That's right. And I think that's the key. And that's what we all have to work together to do.
Right.
Okay. And get that word out. And I know we at the BRF are, with all of our different divisions and what we're doing, we're spending a lot more time trying to get that positive story out so that people say, they read about Shreveport, it's something new. Like Radiance, one of our earlier podcasts was about Radiance. Look, Radiance could have been anywhere. They could have done it anywhere, okay? But they invested in the Independence Bowl. They took that on, and now they just opened an office here in Shreveport, okay? In a very technical, defense-related field.
You would have never thought Radiance would have come to Shreveport and then saved the Independence Bowl in 2 years. You know, but look at that. You know, save might not be the right word. But we're sitting here talking about over and over the Independence Bowl. How are we going to keep the Independence Bowl? Somebody gets a company like Radiance here, and boom, it starts fixing other issues.
In an industry that's very relevant to our market
Right.
here.
Absolutely.
And you know, the negative people talk like it's the end of times, and it's not. We're still at MSA over 400,000 people with secondary institutions, medical school that's expanding, you know, interstate infrastructure, huge distribution facilities. By the way, look at the price of industrial properties right now. You know, I mean, you think about what Shreveport's been through. You had yellow fever, the Civil War, several oil booms and busts, the Great Depression, the financial crisis, multiple
Pretty
wars.
resilient. But you talked about the MSA. When I look at the MSA, I think when people just try to draw a circle around Shreveport Bossier MSA, I think we get cheated. Because really and truly, there's East Texas, there's Southern Arkansas. But by the government regulations, you cannot include them because they're not in your state. Our MSA is bigger.
I did not know that. That's a great
That's a great
piece
point.
of information.
Yeah.
to know.
Because think
Yeah.
how close East Texas is.
Right.
To the edge of
You know how
Shreveport.
many
I mean,
people live in East Texas that work in Shreveport Bossier? Okay, you know how many people live over there? They're coming here. Now, at a certain point, they'll probably turn west and go to Tyler, okay? But we're much bigger, and I think that's something we got to look at collectively is how do we sell that?
Well, one thing I want to point on is one of the greatest resources we have that I totally took for granted growing up was Cross Lake. We don't realize how easily we can get there. There are
Yes.
homes being sold to people from Dallas as vacation homes because our reliable water, they know there's going to be a lake there, they know they can enjoy the recreation, and it's affordable. There are people buying homes around Cross Lake that live out of town.
I was going to say, go to a $500,000 home in Shreveport and look at it compared to a $500,000 home in anywhere
Yes.
else. You're going to compete with. I mean,
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to live the lifestyle, the high stress lifestyle in a big city to maintain that.
that's right.
Yeah, definitely. Gang,
right.
I tell you, this has been great conversation. Rich, thanks for coming.
Thank you for doing this.
If somebody's got something they want us to get to Rich, or something you want us to talk about, again, email us at info@eapla. If you want to see the podcast video, we're on YouTube, but we're going to put the actual podcast up on all the podcast platforms because we want people to go watch them and talk.
And
see
Rich,
it.
once
Absolutely.
a month, we're doing just an economic update. So keep us in the loop. Keep us in tune to what you're doing so me and Dave can make sure we mention and talk about it and get the word
There's
out.
tons of stuff, but most of it's under NDA, so you're not going to see it in the news until it's
until
final.
you're
let
getting
us
there
know.
to
There's
us
a
official.
lot
You
of
let us know
action.
when we can talk
Yeah.
There's a
about it.
lot of action behind the scenes. There's a lot to be
Absolutely.
excited about.
Good.
We'll bring those entrepreneurs and those companies that are moving here. We'll put them on the cusp.
Very good.
Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. All right.